There is a growing crisis in this country, and it will impact nearly all of us. If you plan on building a home or remodeling a home or moving to a new place at any point in the next few years, you need to hear about it and how you can protect yourself. The housing market is in a weird place right now. Sales of new single-family homes are down over 13%, and housing starts, which is a measure of how many new homes have started construction, is also down. There is something else really interesting happening, and that is that more homes are popping up on the market for sale. These are existing homes. In fact, the inventory of homes for sale is higher right now than it's been for years, equal now to what it was just before the pandemic. There is a problem though. Interest rates are still high, and so are home prices. And so a lot of those homes that are listed for sale are not selling. They're sitting on the market for longer and longer and longer, and homeowners who are trying to sell their homes now need to make a choice. Either they drop their prices or they take their home off the market. And a lot of people are actually choosing to take their home off the market. In fact, delistings are up 35% so far this year, and are up 47% from last year. That outpaces the growth of active listings, which is up 28% so far this year and up 31% from this time last year. So what does all of that mean? Well, it means that homeowners are staying put for the most part. And can you really blame them? Unless you have to move for a job or something like that, it could be really hard to say goodbye to a 2.5% or 3% interest rate, even if you're going to make a decent chunk of change from the appreciation of your home over the years. But with fewer homes being built and with people staying in their homes for longer, there's going to be a need for home renovations in the next few years, far greater than there has been in the past. And that brings me to the crisis that I was talking about at the beginning of the video. Now, we all know that the cost of construction materials like wood, concrete, sheetrock, and copper have all gone up. But there's one other cost which has gone up substantially that no one is really talking about. And that is the cost of labor. Now, when you build or remodel a house, you're going to hire a contractor. That main contractor or general contractor will often hire people or companies underneath them that will serve as subcontractors. That's entirely normal, and there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, if you hire someone to remodel your kitchen, you don't want the guy installing the cabinets to also do the electrical work or the plumbing. Each of those areas requires some specialty knowledge, and so it makes sense to spread out the work to people who are specialized and have knowledge of those areas and can do a good job and the right job. Here's the problem though. The quality of contractors, especially for residential work, has declined significantly over the years. Good contractors have found it tough to operate and have either chosen to specialize in areas like commercial construction or have left the industry altogether. Many of the contractors that remain oftentimes use illegal labor practices in order to save money and increase their profits. There's also been a rise of contractor fraud, which has left many homeowners holding the bag and paying for work that was never performed or done shoddy.
Tonight, a local contractor is facing serious charges, and police warn there could be more victims. Authorities say he took money from clients and then vanished without finishing the work.
So what is behind this shift, and what can you as a homeowner do to protect yourself? Well, before I get into that, I want to talk about this video's sponsor, Tecovas. Tecovas makes boots, amazing boots, both Western boots and work boots, and I've got a pair of each and I love them both. My wife also loves her new boots and they look great. Now, the great thing about these boots is that they're comfortable right out of the box, and you can tell that they're very well made. The leather quality is fantastic, and they have tons of different options to choose from for any style. The work boots are also great because of features like the composite safety toe for protection. They're also waterproof and have other safety features. These boots are handmade and use premium leather, and I'm sure that they're going to last for years. So if you're in the market for a new pair of boots, check out Tecovas. You can click on the link in my description or scan the QR code on screen to get your new favorite pair of boots today. And like I say, they make both fantastic work boots and Western boots, so there's a lot to choose from. Tecovas has been a great partner for the channel, and I love their boots. So again, check out the link in my description or the QR code on the screen. And thanks again to Tecovas for sponsoring this video. All right, so if you've ever hired someone to do work on your house, something like a new roof or a new deck or remodeling a bathroom, you've hired a contractor. And the bigger that the job is, the more subcontractors will be working on your house. There's a problem though, and that is that it's becoming more and more expensive to hire contractors. And the quality of many contractors has gone down. And you are at more risk of contractor fraud than ever before. So let's talk about how we got here. Now, just after World War II, you had millions of soldiers returning home, and those soldiers needed homes. So as a country, we cranked them out. And the interesting thing about most of these homes that were built is that they were pretty modest. Here's an example from the neighborhood that my mom grew up in. This home was built in 1951, and it's about 1,800 square feet. It's small and it's cozy, but that's how homes used to be. Today, homes are much bigger. The workers themselves were different too. It used to be that you could get a job swinging a hammer and you could buy one of the homes that you built and then also send your kids to college. Over time, we devalued blue-collar work, and this is a problem I've talked about extensively in other videos. College was seen as the golden ticket, and anyone who didn't go to college was seen as less than. We took the trades out of high school education and funneled people away and looked down on anyone who chose a career in the trades. This meant that contractors were having to pull from ever smaller and less skilled workforces to man their operations. Then the housing crisis hit. Between May 2007 and May 2009, spending on residential construction in the US dropped by 56%. There was huge competition for the work that was available, and a lot of people who couldn't compete just left the industry altogether and didn't come back. The contractors that remained had to cut corners to stay competitive. And a lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them, what they did was to start doing things somewhat illegally. They would illegally classify or misclassify full-time employees as independent contractors, or sometimes even just pay them off the books. This allowed employers, these contractors, to dodge mandatory expenses, things like payroll taxes. And it allowed them to land bids at lower prices than their competitors and help them compete. Another issue is that when the general contractor's workers are classified as subcontractors and not employees, they don't have to pay workers' compensation insurance. This is good from a cost standpoint, but it's terrible for the workers who are now unprotected. Wages are terribly low as well, and they really haven't gone up at all, with the average wage for a construction worker across the country being between $16 and $23 an hour. Now tell me, why would a person risk life and limb to work a really tough job for $16 an hour when they could get paid more working for Amazon or even McDonald's? This means that a lot of the people that go to work in these trades tend to be much less skilled than in the past, and that's reflected in the building quality today as well. In fact, how many of you know of people who are living in brand new homes that are filled with construction defects? Sure, homes built today may be more complicated than this old one or the other homes built in the past, but some obvious construction defects are common. Things like improper flashing on the roof or window weeps being covered up, causing terrible water damage. This stuff isn't rocket science, but it can cost thousands to a homeowner who needs to get it remediated after just a few years. Another issue is the use of illegal immigrants in construction jobs. It's estimated that currently there are around 1 to 2 million illegal construction workers in the US, which is around 10 to 20% of that whole workforce. Now, this isn't a video about illegal immigration, but as a side note, let's just consider for a moment the impact if we were to deport 10 to 20% of the entire construction workforce, especially in an area where we have trouble finding enough workers. Costs are going to skyrocket. Unaffordability, which is a problem as it is right now, is going to be off the charts. If we think that building is expensive now, it's only going to get worse and worse. Also, a lot of focus right now is on the illegal workers themselves, but what about the people who hire them? They are also breaking the law, but so far there's been zero focus and zero accountability on those people, on the employers, the companies that hire illegal workers, knowing that they're illegal workers. The point here is that we need to stop the madness around deporting millions of hardworking people and focus on immigration reform that allows us to get the workers that we need and protect those workers from being exploited. I don't think that it's possible in the current climate, but I hope that that can change at some point in the future. And I think that when the cost of all of this, of the deportations becomes more evident, I think we're going to change our minds about what to do about immigration. All right, so what does all of this mean? Well, if you need work done on your house, it's going to cost you, now more than ever before. Also, because there are so few residential contractors left, there's less competition and they're less likely to do quality work for you, either because they're so swamped with other work or because they cut corners and have employees who are not skilled enough to perform quality work. And that brings me to one other point on contractors. There is a trend currently of contractor fraud.
Contractor on Long Island accused of ripping people off.
There is story after story of contractors who collect money and then don't perform the job.
Contractor Brian White promised to do the work, but never did.
In some cases, they may commit insurance fraud or they may forge building permits. All of these issues are a huge problem for homeowners, and so you need to know how to protect yourself. So here are a few things that you should be on the lookout for as you choose a contractor. First, try to pick someone local. If you pick someone who is known in the community or someone who comes recommended to you by someone else, then your chances of being defrauded go down significantly. Also, you should always get multiple bids, preferably 3. This will help you understand if the costs from one bid are either too high or too good to be true, and you can make your decisions accordingly. Second, be careful about what you sign. Make sure to read through it thoroughly and get a copy of it. If there's anything confusing about the wording, make sure that it's clarified and that you understand it before signing. Next, don't pay upfront. Now, in some cases, a contractor may request a partial payment to start the job, and that's customary because they're taking a risk too. But contractors that ask for everything up front should not be trusted. They have no incentive to finish the job. Lastly, if it's an insurance job like a new roof, avoid anyone who says that they'll waive your deductible. In many places that's illegal, and it can also cause issues with your insurance company. Here is the bottom line of all of this. There are fewer good contractors around now than ever before. And if you want quality work done, you're gonna have to pay for it. Here's the other thing. This is a DIY channel after all, and I predict that in the coming years, doing projects for yourself is going to become more and more of a necessity for a lot more people. I have a whole theory about when you should do something yourself versus pay someone for it, and it is a function of a few different things. First, how much the job costs, both in time and money, versus how much of both of those things you have. How simple or complex a job is versus your skill level, and then how dangerous the job is versus your willingness to take risks. Now that is a whole video in and of itself for another day, but I think that DIYing is going to become more and more common and necessary for a lot more people, and I don't think that's a bad thing. In many ways, a lot of people today have forgotten how to do things for themselves, and it's crazy how much money you can save by doing simple things like hanging your own TV or wiring your own outlets or building your own cabinets. So if that is something that you're interested in, please be sure to subscribe to my channel and check out my DIY videos. Also be sure to leave me a comment and tell me about your best or worst experience with a contractor and what advice you have for other people to avoid some of the pitfalls or traps that you've seen. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.